to Abia Fat's hotspot. With me today on set is Professor Ikechi Mboji. Professor Mboji is the Commissioner for Education, Abia State Government. Prof, you are welcome.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Prof, secondary school teachers have been on strike. They just resumed.
2 weeks ago.
2 weeks ago.
Yes.
What are the issues? Why did they go on strike? How are those their concerns being addressed? If it's budget, sorry, have they been paid?
Thank you very much. The issues are not too many, but I think we can itemize about two of the main issues. One is the delay in the payment of salaries. The other is the issue of paying the teacher salary scale, otherwise known as the TSS. The other issue really is about paying the promotion package. When you promote people, it comes with some fiscal implications. So they expect that the financial aspect be honored. You can't just promote somebody. Promotion is only in name. So as regards the issue of salaries, the fact of the matter is that the state is experiencing an unusual kind of convergence of headwinds that make it difficult for us to pay teachers on time. Bear in mind that some years ago, the government of Abia State disengaged non-indigents from the teaching service in particular. While that was going on, we were recruiting in the indigents, and then somewhere along the line we reversed ourselves and re-engaged those that were disengaged. So Abia State ended up having like a double cohort of teachers. So per capita, we have one of the largest numbers in terms of those who are in the teaching profession in the state. In some schools, in fact, teachers outnumber pupils.
Teachers outnumber pupils?
Yes. So,
in a particular school?
Yes, I can give you.
How possible is that?
I can give you an example like Agano High School. There are about 17 teachers there and about 7 students. I can give you an example in Owawahaf, where there are more teachers than pupils in the school. If you go if you go to Ngwaro Primary School, there is no pupil at all, but we have a headmistress who's on, I think, level 16, step 9. And that's the first problem. Second one is that we actually have a very top-heavy set of teachers, in the sense that they are aging, and their salaries are quite high. The top factor is that Abia State salary scale for teachers is actually higher compared to what you have in neighboring states. For example, a school principal in Abia State earns almost double what his or her peer in Ebonyi State earns. That's a fact. So if you look at all these factors, plus also the fact that our IGR is not as well developed as it ought to be, and that our takings from the FAC allocation sometimes is not really much to write home about. So you have a situation in which, in any given month, Abia State has to pay between 1 billion to 1.1 billion. So you reckon about 3 billion. Teachers alone will consume about 1.1 billion.
Out of the total
teachers alone, yes.
Wage bill.
Teachers alone, not the entire civil service, just teachers alone. And of course, there are other civil servants.
Because Abia State said that the overhead, the wage bill entirely is about 2.something billion.
It was 2.7.
So 2.7.
And then when we
teachers are taking 1.1 billion.
Yes. Teachers alone.
That's in a particular ministry education.
Education. So between the primary school teachers and the secondary school teachers, we spend about 1 billion to 1.1 billion. It used to be much higher until we introduced the BVN and other forms of verifications. That crashed it by about 700 to 800 million. That's a fact. So, and despite the embargoes so to speak, is placed on hiring of teachers. Many people have been hiring people illegally without due process. So you have, particularly at the non-tutorial level. So, and of course, the downtown economy means that virtually every commissioner, every SA, is bringing up names for employment in the city. So we are gradually becoming a civil service state. And this was a state that was originally, known for, being business people, entrepreneurs, and so on and so forth. But now, everybody wants to work.
But what is the situation of at this moment?
So
have the salary issue been addressed?
As it is, there is a gap between the primary school teachers and the secondary school teachers. I think the primary school teachers have been paid their March salary. Primary school. So they're owed about 2-3 months now. Where we have serious challenges with respect to the secondary school teachers, we are owing them, I think, 6 months. If you add May.
That's secondary school.
Yes, that's the truth of the matter. I'm not here to fiddle with the facts. We expect to pay them their December salary as quickly as possible. But that to me is bad. Owing someone 5 months, it's not something that I am proud of. Now the question now is, where do we go from here? Right on that table is a bill that we are sending to the State House of Assembly on the Abia Education Endowment Fund. Because we believe that time has come for us to find ways of funding our education. For a long time, we've lived this fiction that education is free. It is not free. It costs money. It costs money to pay teachers. It costs money to equip schools. Education can be expensive. So, if you have or if you offer free education and yet you need money to run education, and then you put yourself in a position where private school proprietors who have been more honest with the facts by saying we are charging tuition and people are paying, and you see the populace actually moving towards the private schools. So they are telling you that your free education is not worth it. They are literally voting with their feet. They are moving their children.
That's what I wanted to ask. When you told me that in some certain schools that teachers outnumber students, does it mean that our pupils are deserting public schools?
Clearly, as it is today, the balance of facts is clearly in favor of the private schools. And we have nothing against private schools. But the matter is that this wasn't the situation 30 years ago. It wasn't the situation 40 years ago. Most of us in this room attended public schools.
Yes.
So there is a huge demographic shift from public schools to private schools. In fact, 40 years ago, if you attended a private school, you look like a dunce. It was the public schools that produced many of the prominent people of today. Now, as I was saying initially, what is the way forward? We can't continue belly aching and mourning about this sad state of affairs. We intend to have this education endowment fund. It's a bill on it. The idea is to raise money, have a little bit of tax on things that we consume, and that the proceeds will be devoted specifically towards bridging the gap between what the government receives to pay teachers and the shortfall. So if we are able to have this bill passed into law, and I am very, very hopeful that I am expectant that this bill will be enacted into law within the next 2 months.
If that bill is finally enacted into law, is it going to translate into an increment in school fees?
Yes, no, there's no school fees per se. What we are saying is that I always use example. From the environment where I've been for over 20 years, there is a tax on my house in Toronto. I pay close to $1,000 every month as property tax. Now, if you look at the pie chart of what the government here does with the money they collect from me, more than half of it goes to the public schools within the district. Some will go towards road maintenance, some will go towards maintaining the hospitals and the gardens and so on and so forth. So they are taxing me based upon the size of my house, the market value of my house, and they are using that money to subsidize the education of the poor. So that is the idea behind this education.
If I can concentrate there, Prof, we still have such an agency here, the physical infrastructure that collects levies for properties
and so on.
Road tax and all that. So
there was a problem with that, which is what we are trying to fix. You can't collect all this and give it to the Board of Inland Revenue and say that you still raise money for education when you put it in a general or common pool. The idea is to have this money specifically put in a pool that is meant to fund education, particularly the payment of teachers' salaries. Now,
would that be now to the removal, to the scrapping of
course,
the already existing infrastructure developments, whatever that are in private hands?
It will lead to the scrapping of any other levy that was originally pretending to be geared towards education. Okay. You could still pay a property tax, but that component that was meant for education no longer join in the common pool for the Board of Inland Revenue to go to a specific pot for education. And not just education, but for payment of teachers' salaries. And I think we've got to a level where we must realize that unless we have a way of making those whom God has blessed more to help to fund the education of the less privileged, otherwise we'll end up with a class-based society where
in what area, what goods exactly are we going to see this tax come to?
Yes, you will see it in the obvious indices of affluence. For example, if somebody is driving a Lexus Jeep or driving a Prado, he shouldn't pay the same kind of tax as somebody who is uneducated. If you drive a Mercedes-Benz in America, you pay more. If you live in a big house, where all the houses are worth $2 million, what you pay as property rate is different from what somebody who lives in a 2-bedroom condo or flat elsewhere pays. So the idea is to take a little bit of money from those who have more, whom God has blessed more, and put it in a common pool to help to finance the education of those who are less privileged or those who are not as wealthy as the rest. Otherwise, you will end up with a society in which the rich cannot sleep peacefully at night because there are too many poor people out there who are hungry and who will let them rest.
Prof, you can agree with me that we have trust deficiency here. How can we assure Abians that if such a tax is being introduced, we are coming from a background of a poor economy that is bordering on the parents today and every other resident. Now, how do we assure Abians that such a tax will not end up like what you saw in the fiscal infrastructure, that some people are not trading worse on who ends what?
Thank you, I think the fact here will speak for themselves. When the governor approved the different levy to enable us repair schools, people thought, it was going to be embezzled or wasted. But within a space of less than 12 months, this ministry renovated more than 70 schools across the 3 senatorial zones. And so the trust, you have to end that trust. You can't just collect people's money, and walk away. But when they see that you are doing something with the money, they would. I honestly believe that our people are not fools. That they know they know good quality. They would. As when they see it, they will believe it. So it is now incumbent on those who run the affairs of government to ensure that as soon as that money is put in the pool, that it's actually being put to the use for which it is meant. You have to earn people's trust.
Okay, Prof. Just recently at Ovim Girls, a set of students were raped.
No, it's not true. As soon as I had it, I sent top ministry officials to that school. What happened was that the school is properly fenced, but someone who was very desperate broke into the distance. And thanks be to God that the girls there were very, very, very strong and willful. They resisted the attack, and the security men there came into their aid, and the invader was repaired. So nobody was raped.
Okay.
Yes. But there was an intruder. There was an intruder.
There was an attack.
And we commend the students for being very, very very, very dutiful and very, very observant.
Does it not call for the measures to secure the rest of the schools that are not yet secured within the environment?
It does. We are not taking the issue of schools security lightly, but interestingly, that school is far better secured than many other schools. And then bear in mind that the kind of schools that we've been building in the past 70, 80 years are quite expensive to secure. 30, 50 years ago, communities would donate acres of land. And there wasn't much kind of violent crimes against school children as we have today. It is so difficult today to fence around 5 acres, 6 acres. We received a proposal from one particular school, and that was one at Osusu Amokwa. When we looked at the cost of fencing the school, it would have been enough to even build a completely new school on a much a smaller size of land. So that does force us to rethink the size of the schools that we have today. Having schools today that are maybe spread over 10 acres or 15 acres, to me, is becoming quite problematic. Insofar as if we can shrink the size of the schools, have enough maybe upstairs, have a kind of playground where children can play. I don't really think that we need to have the same size of school as Government College Umuahia, which is spread over so many hectares.
Are you advocating for the scrapping of practical agriculture then?
No.
Because most of those lands are used for agriculture, and those are when we went to school.
Yes, I would say that we are trying to, but then you don't have to fence around the farm.
The farms most often are located within the school. Where schools we went to, the dormitory is located within the school. The farms are located within the school, and they are fenced around.
We're on the same page. What we're saying is that we have to rethink how we build our schools. Yes. There's no point fencing, saying that you're spending 20-30 million to fence a farm when the farm is merely to demonstrate and show people how to farm. It's not as if the economic value of the farm will justify spending 30-40 million, but the lives to me are more valuable. So you secure the school in terms of where the children study, where they live. You can fence it around, but to fence 5 acres of farmland, where children go to plant corn or plant maize solely for demonstration purposes or practicals. I am not sure, considering how tight things are financially, that it is a worthwhile investment. But for me, no investment designed to secure the life of students can be said to be high. So, but then it does require us to rethink the architecture of our schools. Because if you go to civilized countries, they don't have schools that large. Mm-hmm. They could have their playground elsewhere. Okay. They could have their farms elsewhere. But where they have their laboratories, where they have their dormitories, they can secure it. You can go to their farms, but you don't have to fence the 30 acres of farmland.
Prof, we just came out of a strike now, just barely 2 weeks. Mm-hmm. And I'm sure, given our environment, the cultural environment, that in the next few months we are still going back to the same strike. If we do not, no.
Turn into a prophet of.
No, sir. I'm being factual here. I'm stating the obvious. If something is not done urgently to address this issue that always takes us to that strike, what are you putting in place to ensure that we don't go back to where we are?
I've just told you of one of the measures that we are putting in place. We're also looking forward at the receipt of the 4th tranche of the Paris Club reform. The governor is going to devote a huge portion of that towards clearing this backlog of salaries, particularly for the teachers. I mean, there are certain problems that will require some structural, fundamental changes. It is not every problem that you use band-aid to cure.
Sure. Coming to Abia Body, they just resumed. Thanks to the understanding of all the unions, yourself, and the government, can we say the issue of Abia has been finally solved?
No. You know me, I don't run away from the truth. No. Abia is one of the top examples of where management of schools will have to take some real drastic steps. The situation in which one rector alone hired more than 1,000 people within a space of 4 years, that's madness. He inherited a staff rate of about 300 and something. By the time you left, you had added more than 1,000. It's not as if you needed that 1,000. So unless and until government officials learn to abuse their power, because they put the rector there in that invidious position where every commissioner, every SSA or whatever will send names of people to be employed, even though there was no job to be done. People were sending names to the management of the school, and people were being hired. You go to a particular office, a job that can be done by one person, you find about 7 people struggling to do a job for one person, and at the end of the month, they will all expect to be paid. So the last time, as I said in a different forum, where due process was deployed towards hiring people, there was in 2005. That was the last time there was an interview. There was a call. There was an advert to say, "Oh, we have this space. We need XYZ kind of workers. If you are qualified, apply." That was the last time, 2005. But between that 2005 to 2016, more than 1,000 people were employed there. The Abia police security personnel, as of today, based upon what I have here, is 82. And this school is fenced round. And you have 82 workers manning 2 gates. You go to your bookshop, you have about 60 people in a bookshop. How many books are they selling? And at the end of the day, all these people would expect to be paid. So unless we find a way of addressing the huge overheads, they don't even want to talk about how much they spend on diesel. They want to spend, and then all this in a climate where polytechnic education is losing favor among the youth. People prefer to go to university because they believe that if they graduate with a university certificate,
because we are certificate driven.
Exactly. So even to get students to the school to drive their IGR is hard. As I speak today, the same scenario is playing out at Arachuku. The number of students there is about 500 or less. Staff is about 400. It's almost a ratio of 1:1. There's no way such an institution can survive. And you're in a place where it is difficult for people to say, "Oh, I want to go to school." And the reason why a school in that kind of place can survive is if you're offering something special. Then someone will say, "Okay, I know why I'm going to." But if you're offering me, let's say, training in education in which I can get in Owerri, why would I want to go to Arochukwu with the bad road? So people make rational choices. They rather go to Abanikoku or go to Polytechnic, where the transport fare is less. They can do some other thing. They can work or find other kinds of employment while they are still in school. So these are some of the factors that some of our leaders did not take into real consideration. So back to your question, I honestly believe that there has to be some kind of surgery at Apapoli. Surgery that has some degree of human face, but then it needs surgery. Otherwise, the same problems that gave rise to the strike 2-3 weeks ago, or a month ago,
so right now, how much actually are Abia Police staff being owed? Because the rector is saying that they are owing about 9 months. The staffs are saying that they are being owed about 11 months.
Well,
how much are they being owed? Because that is situated on your term.
Yes. As at 3 weeks ago, when we were negotiating to have the strike called off, the actual number of months for which they were owed was 7. So, but then if you now add this May, that will be 8 months. But bear in mind that they managed to pay 1 month. So we are back to 7 months.
It's been a nice talking to you.
Thank you very much. Thank you so much.
Viewers, we've come to the end of this edition of Abia Fast Sports. I remain your anchor, DJ.